several situations that call for celebration. And to celebrate, many of us like to throw parties of some sort, the likes of which can span a spectrum as wide as the universe itself. On one end of the continuum, you have your Margaret. This teapot is simply scintillating. We juxtapose those type of parties with parties way on the other end of the spectrum. Now this is where you have your honky-tonks, your hold-downs, your knee-slapping, toe-tapping, finger-snapping, raise the roof, throw your hands in the air like you just don't care. Somebody's going to call the authorities because we are disturbing the peace up in here. Many of us prefer parties that fall somewhere in between both of those extremes. A great gathering for me includes friends, family, food, fun, fellowship. All of those things help facilitate a phenomenally fantastic fiesta. And I remember one such party I had in the summer of 2007. I was celebrating a milestone birthday. The theme, 40 and 5 lives. And that particular birthday celebration will forever be ingrained in my brain, for it also was the day that I celebrated my release from prison. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I am a jailbird, and I'm not the least bit afraid nor ashamed to proclaim it. As a matter of fact, I consider it something to celebrate. Just as there are several situations that call for celebration, and just as many ways in which to celebrate those occasions, there are several forms of incarceration. And one of the worst types are those self-imposed sentences to jail cells that we have somehow created with our brain cells. You see, that's the type of prison that I was in, but that virtual internment was just as constricting, just as constraining, just as confining as any physical jail cell could have been for me when it came to me having the courage to set lofty goals and to soar towards them. And now that I've most likely relieved many of you in here from wondering what it was I might have done to have gotten arrested, convicted, and incarcerated for, let me assure you that I have never in my whole entire life ever committed any crime or broken any law and got caught. But let me tell you what I did do that had me in bondage. You see, I developed this horrible habit of over-obsessing about what other people might be thinking of me negatively. How narcissistic is that? You see, we can sometimes be consumed by operating in the fear of what other people might be thinking of us negatively. And at the end of the day, I realized most people were not thinking of me negatively because most people weren't thinking of me at all. I had to say, who cares what anybody else thinks anyway? That allowed me to focus on the task at hand and the things that really matter in life, and that type of focus is something to celebrate. I used to be shackled with worry. What a complete and utter waste of time that was, because making mistakes, which is what I was worried about, is inevitable. So there's no use worrying about it. I once worked part-time as an on-air radio personality. I would worry a lot about mispronouncing someone's name over the air, playing 2 songs simultaneously, talking over commercials because I forgot my microphone was potted up. I would worry about making those mistakes a lot, and I made those mistakes a lot. But one day, I decided to listen to some of the more experienced DJs, and every once in a while, they would make the same mistakes I was so worried about making myself. No one is perfect. And when I learned to embrace that fact, it somehow eased my worry. When I stopped worrying so much about messing up, I stopped messing up so much. Freedom from worry is something to celebrate. I used to be bound by the notion that somehow my best would never be good enough. Have you ever felt that way? I can recall listening to people who could get up and do a presentation without any notes and would be so impressed. Wow, that was amazing. I don't think I could ever do anything like that. But one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to at least try to give a presentation without any notes. And I committed myself to trying it over and over and over. And after a while, I realized, maybe I can do something like that. It was at that point that I began to replace self-doubt with self-discovery. And self-discovery is something to celebrate. Are you being held captive in a prison of your own making? Don't be afraid to free yourself. As a matter of fact, many of us might not even be aware of what we're fearful of. Marianne Williamson put it this way. She said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? So being able to say, who cares what anybody else thinks, so that you can focus on the things that really matter in life, abandoning work and believing that your best can in fact be good enough, will allow you to accomplish things that not only benefit yourself, but those around you, and dare I say, the world. Now that is liberation worth celebration. So who in here is ready to join me in the mother of all celebrations? I'll supply the tea. If you promise not to call